Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Outside of Life, where I chat with inspiring artists and create various art-related videos. My name is Eva and my guest today is Hedvig, better known as Vixiearts. And in this episode you will learn how she developed her skills and what helped her to improve the most in her art career.
What helped me improve the most was probably when I started to hang around with a lot more artists, and I realized that the fastest way to improve is to just surround yourself with a lot of creative and driven people, because you inspire each other and you can grow together.
Hedvig is a concept artist during the day and freelance illustrator comic artist at night. She started as a comic book artist back in 2004, and since then she explored a variety of areas in the art industry, creating art for books, animation, games, magazines and more. She always carries a sketchbook around with her on never-ending journey to improve. So please welcome Hedvig and let's get to the interview. So welcome everyone to the next episode of Outside of Life, and I'm super happy to have Hedvig here. Hi!
Hi! Hi, Eva!
So welcome! Nice to
Thank
meet you virtually for sure. And I'm super happy that you took time and joined us here. So yeah, let's just start right away, maybe with your background, and maybe you can tell us a bit more like which were kind of the biggest decisions for you to get to art, and maybe when did you kind of decide, okay, I want to take this professionally?
All right. I started out as a comic book artist back in 2004. Wow, it's a long time ago now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, time flies. And I've always, been drawing, and I've been like constantly scribbling on my notebooks. Like if I had a paper and a pencil in front of me, I would just draw all the time. And I always knew that this was what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So back in 2004, I sent in my work to a publisher and waited for 6 months, didn't hear anything back, and I just thought, they probably forgot about me, or it wasn't good enough or anything. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I got a call from an editor who had seen my work, and he wanted me to do some test drawings for a comic book named Bamsi, the world's strongest bear. So I did, and that's how I got started.
So you sent stuff only to one publisher, or did you send to more publishers just to try it out?
That was actually the one and only that I sent to back then, because I was I didn't dare it. I had built up guts to send it. It took a lot of effort the first time.
Yeah. And you were still studying at that time, or you were just after school?
I was still studying at the time. So when I got the gig, I did freelance work during after school.
Oh wow! So and then you finished the school, or did you just decide to leave the school?
No, I finished it.
Ah, cool. So you were working in the evenings and still studying during the day?
Yeah, yes, pretty much.
But then you didn't have to worry about okay, what do I do after school? A lot of people can be oh.
Yeah, no, it was a very smooth transition, so I was very lucky.
And what helped you to decide to choose the school or the education, when you were still on high school and you're okay, should I study online or should I go to uni, or, all of these kind of things?
Oh man, I actually studied nature in school, so it wasn't really related to art back then. But after I graduated, I went on and applied to a comic art school because I wanted to develop more as a comic book artist. So I wanted to draw more, and that was what made me decide on the comic book.
Okay. And what influenced you the most, in your kind of childhood years with, either animation or books or some other influence?
Oh, I love Disney movies, like The Lion King. When that one came out, I saw it 3 or 4 times at the cinema. I was oh my God, I so want to do something like that in the future. I was blown away, oh my God, this is it. I want to do it. So that was definitely a huge influence for me. And then comic books Donald Duck and Company is a big thing here in Sweden, like a little comic book magazine that comes out weekly. So I subscribed to that one, and that was a huge influence as well, like stories by Karl Barks and Don Rosa was very, very nice, or influenced me a lot, like the storytelling bit, and then of course the artwork.
And what kind of like helped you to improve the most, you know, in the character design? If you kind of think about this like aha moment, you know, like, oh, this is how I can make the characters with more personality, or, you know, what is maybe important for you now when you're designing the characters?
Well, what helped me improve the most was probably when I started to hang around with a lot more artists, and I've realized that the fastest way to improve is to just surround yourself with a lot of creative and driven people, because you inspire each other and you can grow together and ask each other for feedback and, you know, help each other improve. So that was definitely a big like eye-opener for me.
And can you give us maybe some example specifically in character design would help you to kind of make them better?
Well, I think, you know, just drawing and drawing, practicing every day, and then, you know, you realize you find your shortcuts, and you learn how to simplify, and sometimes less is more. Like, you don't have to put in details everywhere, you know.
Yeah, it totally makes sense, like the simplifying, right? And so the character, like, it's less realistic maybe, and these kind of things.
Yes, exactly.
Ah, okay, cool. And so how did you do your networking? You know, like when you mentioned that you surrounded yourself with the other artists, was it online, or did you go to like art classes or conventions, or how did you meet people?
All of the above, actually. So I started out, you know, by applying to the comic art school and getting into a class of other creatives, and just drawing every day was a huge step for me. And like, we helped each other, and, you know, once you know one person, you pretty much know everybody. And that's one of the magical things about the internet. I think, like, you can meet everybody, and they're just a click away. So I go to conventions as well, and I meet people there. And I went to CTN a couple of years ago, and it was super great. I think you were there. I saw one of your videos.
Yeah, I went the last time, which was what, 2017. Now it's 18 already, right?
Yeah.
And I went 16. That was my first convention ever, actually.
Oh, wow, nice.
So because someone recommended me, like, this one is interesting for you know, meeting other creatives. Do you like the other conventions as well, or only the CTN, or is there something interesting in Europe you go to?
I have been to Comics DK, which is a Danish comic fair, and then there's one in Stockholm called Stockholm's International Comics Festival, but it's shortened to SIS, I think. Or
Might be.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so a couple of them.
And you are also really like popular on Instagram as well. So can you give us also some tips maybe on the social media? Something maybe this is not really good to do, and this is like something what worked for you? Some highlight?
Yeah, well, I love Instagram because it's such a friendly community, and just going around there and like browsing art makes me super inspired, and being able to just comment and tell people that I admire their work just a click away. I love the interface and the simplicity of like the user interface on it. So like just going around there being curious of other artists and other people, I think is a really great way. And then I try to post once a week or something, and only post stuff that I really had a great time working on, because I think, you know, when you have a lot of fun doing something, the audience will notice it. So yeah, I try to have fun with the stuff I post, and I try to have fun when I go out and meet people online.
And what is your maybe the inspiration for your characters, you know, like to create stories and the personalities? Do you like take it from everyday life, or do you have something strange which inspires you?
I take it from like a variety of sources. I think I get inspired by like everyday situations and like artists and art I see online, and like I can get really inspired of traveling long distances actually. Like some people might find it really boring or like irritating to be stuck in traffic for several hours or being on a long flight, but I tend to enjoy it because it gives me, a good amount of time to just drift away in my stories and like characters that you can create. Or
Yeah. And you carry around your sketchbook with you all the time, or do you have some tool which you cannot live without?
I always carry a sketchbook around, and I have a little like pen holder from oh, now I don't remember the name of that site. Hold on, I know it. Cleverhands.net. Ha, I got it. It's a great little bandolier, which you can have your pencils wrapped around your sketchbook, and it's really, really great.
Okay, that sounds actually convenient.
Yes, so that's I always carry that around with me wherever I go, and then an iPad Pro, and I don't carry that one around all the time, but sometimes I do, and it's a really great tool to work with, so I really enjoy it.
And you work with Procreate, I guess.
Yes, and Adobe Sketch.
Oh, that one I haven't tried, because now I'm just using Procreate all the time for sketching and drawing, and then Photoshop when I'm on computer. I guess you do as well, right?
Oh yes, I am a Photoshop junkie.
And do you use like Intuos, or do you have a Cintiq, or what do you prefer?
I have a Cintiq, so I have a little Cintiq companion, which I also travel with once in a while, but it's really nifty, and I love that you can have the full version of Photoshop on it.
Yeah, definitely, because the giant Cintiqs, they are not really compact, so you cannot take them with you.
It would be quite hard to carry that one on the bus, like, oh man.
Yeah, because the bigger ones are like 40 kilos, so it's like really giant.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And when you are now designing the characters and just, like your art career progress, is there something you would advise yourself as a, young artist starting, like something you wish you knew before you started?
Yeah. Oh, man. It's the art of collaboration. Mm-hmm. It's very important, I think. When I started out, I was like... I'd previously only worked from home, like in my own safe little bubble, and not really collaborated with other people. So that was a bit of a new thing for me. Like, people have opinions about your art, and people give feedback, and oh man, that's scary. Like, so when I started out, I was like, oh, this negative feedback, does that mean I'm not good enough? And now I've realized that every feedback, whether good or bad, is it's good because it helps you to learn and progress and improve, and it's the fastest way to grow as an artist. So definitely. I think.
And so what are your projects now, what you are working on? Like, what do you live from? Is it mainly client work or commissions, or how do you combine your income streams?
Right now I'm a full-time freelancer, but I work on projects, or like a project right now, which I go to work 9 to 5, and for this one, and then I freelance during the evenings. So I work at my day job. I do animation work, like layouts and character designs and environment painting sometime, and at home I do book illustrations and magazine covers, like drawings for those.
Yeah, and how do you then find new paid projects, if you can give some tips for someone who is just starting out?
Yeah, when I started out, I tried to go to conventions and print a little, what do you call it, business card and hand out, because when you meet people at conventions, they're usually quite busy, like unless they're there for portfolio reviews and doing them. But if you stumble upon people there, you could just hand over your card and then get their card too, and send over your portfolio or work later.
And when you went for the conventions, did you also ask for the portfolio reviews?
Yes, when they had, like there was usually like lines for separate, or where they had put it out, like we do portfolio reviews. But
and then you already have like a goal in mind, like, okay, I want to be a character designer, so you kind of had the specific questions for the like character designs, or did you have like the overall portfolio and they told you like, okay, maybe this you can take out, or this is stronger, or maybe what was your like insight on your portfolio? What did you improve from these?
well, I tried to be kind of specific of what I wanted to do. If it was book illustrations, I would showcase book illustrations and, ask them, like, if you have anything that you think could suit my style, please feel free to get in touch with me later.
Yeah. So then when you were applying, for example, for a book publisher, then you looked at, okay, this is what they have, and try to fit their style, like, okay, so this would kind of work for them.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, perfect. And so when we go back to your, the art career, so you mentioned like you had the biggest turning points when you found, the first book publisher, right? Do you have like other big turning points which helped you in your career where you're now?
Yeah, well, I think one major turning point I had was when I quit my full-time job, like back in 2014. I had a really good job, but I just felt like I wanted to do something else. Like where I was working, I was mainly doing game art then, and I wanted to do character design more. So I set up like a deadline for myself that I'm going to work at this place for 3 years, and after that I'm going to go somewhere else. And I stuck to that. So I worked there for 3 years, and I was really happy, and I liked the coworkers and everything. And after those 3 years, I just said, no, now I'm going my own way. And since then I've done freelancing full time.
And when you quit, did you already have like different clients, or was it more like, okay, this is my decision, I want to quit, and then I will look for clients, or was it more like a smooth transition, or what was going in your head, like, okay, what will happen now?
No, it was a pretty smooth transition. I had freelanced during the evenings before that, so I kind of gathered clients in the evenings and counted on like, would I survive if I just cut my full-time salary right now? And once I felt certain about that, it was I just went.
Perfect. And when you think about as well, like maybe difficult time of your art career, what would you consider like the most difficult time when you were like, okay, maybe I learned something from this, like a takeaway?
Well, I think maybe that was when I first started my first job as a full-time full-time concept artist at my first job, which was a startup company, and I had to learn to collaborate with other artists and getting feedback, because when I started out, it was like a scary thing for me, and like I was very insecure, but I really learned to like the value of the collaboration and how much you can learn and how much you can grow and how fun it is as well. So I think I took away a lot of good stuff from that experience.
Oh yeah. So the working within the team and see the other people's perspective on the art and not taking it personally, but like helping you to improve, right?
Exactly.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. And so when you are also like improving your art, do you have maybe some recommendations for like books or online resources? Maybe a book you would give as a present to your like creative friend?
Oh yes, Creative Illustration by Andrew Loomis. That book is amazing.
Oh yeah, actually, I read that one as well. It's like perfect.
Oh yes, it goes through fundamentals of art in a very helpful and educational way, and I think it's amazing. So definitely that one.
And do you also have like a favorite like documentaries or something like movies where you study like, okay, this is like nice layout or light situations or something like that?
Oh wow. Well, from the top of my head, I just love the storytelling in How to Train Your Dragon, and the storytelling in Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the movie, but the TV series.
Oh yeah, the special powers and the effects and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually
Water
cool.
bending, and earth bending, fire, everything. It's an amazing show just altogether, and the movements that they got. I think they use different fighting styles for each of the bending techniques, and it's just very
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful.
And
Both.
nice color coding as well, like to code each character by special power and the color, right, to distinguish them. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Definitely. And so when you are creating your own projects now or working within the company, so how do you go about, like doing a research and, like do you do thumbnails or, the ideas, if you can take us through like biggest, bullet points maybe of your artistic process?
Oh yeah, I made a comic not too long ago from scratch. So I started out by basically like gathering a bunch of reference, like what do I want the visual style to look like? How do I want to render like the characters, and what kind of style do I want on it? So I just went on Pinterest and searched like crazy. Pinterest is awesome, and I gathered everything into a mood board, and then I started to do thumbnails. Or no, actually, I wrote a script too. I had a script before that. Script first, and then gather resources, then do thumbnails and everything. And once I had all the thumbnails sketched out, I created blank PSD documents for all the pages in the entire comic, because that gives me a good overview of what I'm going to do and what I need to do. And after that, just put out all these different thumbnails on these pages, and then start to flesh them out. And once that's done, moving on to colors. And like doing this project, I made one page per week, while simultaneously doing other things on the side. So it took me about a year to finish it, but it's slowly getting done now, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, perfect. So when is it going to be out?
I think it's set for release this summer, actually. So.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so in the summer then people can look forward to the whole thing being published, right?
Exactly. So it's a little book about unicorns.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned that you did thumbnails, was it like, did you start with your favorite story moments, maybe from the page, like if you have different story moments or different part of the story on one page, did you start it like with your favorite, or did you go like one by one?
I actually made one by one, since when I wrote the script, I wrote the fun parts first. So I did that bouncing around back then, and then when I did the thumbnails, I just took the script and went from page 1 to page 64, I think.
Oh, perfect.
So.
And did you also work on like, I don't know, turnarounds for the characters, or did you already have them trained with your head, hand like, okay, this is like, I know the characters well, so you don't have to do the turnarounds and, like, I don't know, some studies, what they are wearing and all of that.
Yeah, I did a couple of character studies before, and a couple of... I didn't do a turnaround, but I made character sheets for all the characters.
Yeah, so. Like expressions and the other stuff, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And also like what icons they have, or like these small things what belongs to their personality, like even maybe their rooms.
Oh yeah, I didn't do rooms unfortunately, but that would have been awesome.
Yeah, because you can see so much from the room of the character, right? What books they like, maybe plants, or even I don't know, bed sheet cover.
Or a cat.
or a cat, definitely.
Yeah.
And do you have like a favorite character from your comics?
That'll have to be the antagonist, who's Sylvia, a little unicorn who's angry at the beginning of the book, but she turns nice later.
Good. So then people can look forward to like some turning points in the book, right?
Exactly. So
perfect. And so how do you, as you mentioned, you design your day, that you have a day job, and then in the evenings you work like on the other project. So do you have some daily ritual which contributes to your success?
Well, I try to do warm-ups every day. So I usually go to a page called Line of Action and do like small croquis drawings every morning. And then I also keep a checklist with me at all times where I write down at the beginning of the day everything that I need to get done that day, and that has helped me a lot. So it's really great to just have that little list of things, and then you can tick off what you've done, and so that's a habit that I keep with me all day.
And so you plan like maybe the week or a month, or you do like daily like checklist and to-do list?
Yeah, I do a daily one.
So it's like,
then,
yeah, it belongs to the project you are working on, or it's like more the far away goals?
it's both. So I like having lists of stuff I need to do. So
Yeah, and if you would have to kind of advise maybe someone who is like struggling with, okay, like I'm not sure how to find time to draw or how to kind of organize myself. So would this be like the daily checklist, or how to, how do you find time, or how do you prioritize?
yeah, well, writing a list is a great way to just find time and structure the day, and then you see how much time you have for each task, and you can organize and reorganize how it suits you.
Yeah, definitely. And so if we talk about the future, what would be your dream scenario, like maybe projects to work on if you cannot fail, like this is how I want to have it in like 10 years.
Yeah, well, I would probably be doing the same thing as I am right now, actually. I'm doing a lot of exciting projects right now, and yeah, I hope I get to do that in the future as well, and maybe live abroad at some point. That would be really cool.
Oh, perfect. And what about like really far future? What would you like to be remembered for in like 100 years?
Well, I would like to be remembered as somebody who was kind and hopefully had a positive impact in someone's life with my work, or like the stuff, the stories that I've told, or like the drawings that I've made. So that's definitely something
Yeah, that
I
would
hope
be
to be
super
remembered
nice.
at.
Yeah, definitely, because then you influence so many people with your nice stories and positive characters and like action lines and all of that. It's super cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before we finish, maybe you can share last piece of advice or key takeaway, and then we will slowly end.
All right. Yeah. Well, one thing I think is very important is to just be kind to one another. Like, one of the things I've learned is that you never know who will be your best friend or your employer or your employee or like your boss or whatever in the future. So just be kind to one another and encourage everybody, and encourage people to grow and try to help build a friendly and encouraging community.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because if we help each other and just inspire each other, then we can all grow together, and there are even more opportunities than, yeah, so it's not like we take from each other, but, we can do it together.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So thank you so much again for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was super nice, and thank you for so many like good tips and yeah, the stories, and thanks everyone who joined today as well, and see you in the next episode.
All right.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe because I post new videos every week. I will be also super happy if you let me know your thoughts in comments and give the video a thumbs up. You can find all the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a couple of free artist resources ready for you. So if you want to listen to the interviews on the go too, make sure to check out the podcast at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Continue to inspire each other, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!